you know, or something like that. But no, I didn't see that. I didn't see too much of that.
Okay, and not being Muslim, the other players, were they adhering strongly to the religion they proclaimed to believe?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
And so now, how did your life progress after you left, or how did you conclude your career in the NBA?
Well, what happened, I had to, I went over to, I worked in Saudi Arabia. I got a letter from, I don't know how it happened, but I ended up in Saudi Arabia, and at the end of my career, I coached the national team. And I worked in Jeddah.
But before you got this offer, did you have any desire to go to Saudi Arabia? Did you think about it?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, I mean that would be what really any Muslim would want to do: go to, you know, be close to Mecca, Medina, and you know that's what a lot of people want to do, Muslims. But I was given that opportunity, and it was, you know, one of the happiest times of my life during that time.
So tell us about what you did during that time.
Well, I went over there. I worked for the Kuliya Handasa, which is at King Abdulaziz University, and I was coaching the basketball team there, and I was trying to make, you know, help the youth, you know, learn about basketball. But in Saudi Arabia, they love soccer. so you know, we would have small crowds and we have little interest. But I enjoyed doing it, you know, and I went around, and you know, I went to different clubs. The university teams played different clubs, and you know, I took the team around, and then I was picked to coach the national team over in Mexico City in the Universiada games.
Right.
And I took the Saudi Arabian team over there, and we played in the Universiada, which was like a international event. Something nowhere near the you know, the popularity of the Olympics, but it was pretty big. And Mexico City, they were real excited, and we played in an arena that had 150,000 people.
Right.
So it was an exciting time in my life.
Right, right. Did they win?
Oh no, we got killed. But we got to experience, you know, we played Yugoslavia, and they kind of crushed us, and then we played United States, and they kind of crushed us. But we were there. I mean, we got killed. I won't tell you what the score was, but you know, it was just a development time, you know, for us as a team.
Right. And now, while you were in Saudi Arabia, did you find that the people were happy to find an American Muslim? You know, not just an NBA star, but just a Muslim from America.
Yeah, they were kind of interested because, you know, I mean, when I was there, in the 4 years that I was there, I mean, I only saw one guy that was taller than me. So I was kind of a fixture walking around Jeddah, you know, being 6'9", and, you know, people were kind of curious. And you know, and the youth, you know, they liked me a lot, you know, and I was at the university, and then I coached at an Ahli club, sports club.
Right.
Yeah, so, you know, those.
Now, during your time in Saudi Arabia, were you able to further your Islamic knowledge as far as picking up some things of Arabic and maybe?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, you know, I was doing pretty good for a while, and then kind of, you know, being away from there, you know, but I understand, you know, I speak some, you know, my wife speaks, and, you know, and so we speak, but not, you know, there's so much I have to learn.
And so now, when you completed your time in Saudi Arabia, what was next for you?
Then I came back to America, and I grew up in Brooklyn, as you know, as we spoke about earlier, and then I realized, and it was always my calling, because I was a sociology major in school. So now, what am I going to do? How am I going to help the society? So I realized that most of the people, a lot of the guys I grew up with, they had problems with substances, alcohol, cocaine, heroin, stuff like that. So I did my further studies at Seattle University. I was in the alcohol drug program, and I took some very difficult courses, pharmacology, and, you know, DSM-3, you know, disorder courses, and I took, you know, law classes and stuff like that, and I became what you call a certified chemical dependency professional. So that's what I am now, and I'm supposed to be an expert on drugs and alcohol. And
okay, well, I'll treat you as an expert on drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
Tell us about the effects of drugs and alcohol on the society, and really how it affects the ability of young people really to develop into all they can be.
Well, I mean, alcohol is probably one of the most abused drugs in the United States. A lot of people think, you know, they can drink without any side effects, but what alcohol does is distorts your ability at timing, and it causes domestic disputes because it brings out the the most ugly part of a human of an individual. So that's why a lot of crimes that are committed under of an induced alcohol state. You know, meaning that a person has drank too much, and which causes violent behavior.
And this is when you're talking about alcohol, you're talking about a legal drug.
Exactly, but what's difficult about alcohol is you can get it over the counter, and you know, and a lot of people, because there's so many commercials on TV, Budweiser and all these commercials, that a person kind of thinks it's okay, but you know, as far as your timing is concerned, for instance, you can have maybe 2 or 3 drinks, and that would impede your timing, meaning that a fraction of a second hitting that brake when you're driving down the road, you're not hitting that brake at that time. You can go through a crosswalk and kill somebody. So it's just a fraction of a second that it can impede your normal response.
Right. And so how is it affecting young people? And is this, I mean, and does it cross like demographic lines? I mean, does it cross like people from the poorer sections to the more wealthier upper class? I mean, what is the demographic of the people most affected by it?
It doesn't discriminate. It gets the poorest people as well as the upper class professional people. A lot of people I know, I mean, they're very rich. They go out, they have a martini, but they have a martini every day. And then before they realize it, they're alcoholic because they're at that luncheon, they're meeting their boss, they're meeting other colleagues, they're having 2 or 3 martinis, daily, and before people realize it, they're addicted to alcohol.
Right. Let me ask you this, because I find that there are some other Muslim drug counselors that I've met, and they've told me that they've advised people in an Islamic manner of how to clear themselves of their dependencies. And those people, the feedback after the people are successful was they had been through so many programs, and what you told me was the only thing that ever worked for me.
Right.
Do you find this?
I find it, in speaking to anybody about, getting off alcohol or drugs, sometimes there's a pattern, and one pattern might work better for one person than a pattern for another. Some people, just cold turkey, meaning just stopping completely. But that could be dangerous as far as the psychological and physical ramifications on the body. So, and some people might just want to taper down, meaning that instead of just coming off cold turkey, if you're not strong enough to do it, just starting, okay, I'm going to cut my consumption. Okay, I drink a 6-pack a day. Well, next week I'm going to cut it to 3, and then the next week I'm going to cut it to. I'm going to do that 3 for about a month and cut it down to 1, and let your body adapt to the withdrawal symptoms, because everybody coming off alcohol or drugs, you're going to have withdrawal symptoms, and sometimes they're painful physically, and then after you get over the physical component, psychologically. Right.
But let me ask you, how important is lifestyle change to not reverting back to whatever that behavior was before?
Well, the old folks used to say, be careful who you hang out with. So if you're hanging around with a lot of people, drinking, throwing it down, and every day, obviously the best thing to do would be to get away from those people. So I think, that's the beauty of Islam. I don't know too many Muslims who drink. I'm sure there's some who do, but so there's a community there who don't do that. So we would be, we would be ideal to be around, for the person's sobriety.
MashaAllah. But in your counseling, do you ever encounter any Muslims who come to you for help, or very rarely?
There was one guy. Yeah, he I mean, life is real. So there was one guy who had problems with alcohol, and he came to me and said, "Zaid, I'm having a hard time," but it could happen to anybody. A lot of people think that alcohol, people, that's what they choose. Sometimes it's not so. A person might get that phone call, that one of their kids got killed, or their wife got killed, or they got cancer or something, and they might want to soothe their pain that they just